It's one of my favorite ones. So anyway, one of the things that I do that that kind of I don't know that. Sorry, I'm as much as I love sharing all this information, I'm not like the most polished public speaker, even though I've been doing it for years and I love sharing this information. But recently, I have kind of had in my older years, I'm a senior XR 3D, which means I've been in the industry for just over 10 years. And in my recent work, I have really experienced a shift where I realized that, there's an incredible power in bringing people joy and being silly and bringing humor to otherwise serious subjects. So while some of my earlier work was in, I'm going to go back here. I didn't even cover the second half of my slide, sorry. My most recent book is called Blender 3D for Job Seekers. And I launched a platform to help 3D creatives find and share 3D art and tools called interconnect3d.com. And I started working this fall with Med Micromaps with their founder, Dr. Jane Harrington, was a previous speaker at XR and LXD. And that's actually how I met her. And so I'm creating 3D models for her immersive experience in microbial metaverse. She's a brilliant doctor who teaches microbiology. And so she's leaning into this XR stuff as a way to engage learners in a more lasting and powerful way. And that's been the majority of my work up to this point. I really tended to pick clientele. I've been freelancing for over 30 years. The first 20 was in like graphic design and web front end. And then I went into game design. And I tend to pick clients that are doing something good in the world, social justice issues, medicine, education, science. And so, I've done some of the really super serious work for a long time, but some of my pride and joy is doing the fun stuff. And so one of the things that we'll take you through today is my space that I created with my husband, sweetheart, Adjective Beaver here. If you see the furry critter in the room, that's my partner and sweetheart, and we created this space together, Stubborn Universe and Magical Capsule Critters, and they're both just really whimsical spaces where the point is to run around and discover all of the hidden gems and silly things to do and activities and earn badges. And I'm just gotta give you a highlight of some of my favorite, like, lighthearted, wholesome, fun projects. And you can find links to these games in my QR code that leads you to my link tree. These two games are on itch.io. Dragon Dozer isn't quite complete, and but MX Pet Rock is like a working project. Every time I make something somewhat like silly, I throw it in as an accessory for you to rock-accessorize with in MX Pet Rock, and I love it. So check it out. And the main topic that I promised Terry that I would discuss with you tonight is a project that I recently did for Geek Girl Con 24. My colleague and friend Ray Cameron and I, last year, she saw an advertisement on Instagram, of all places, for Geek Girl Con, which takes place in Seattle in the fall, late fall, early winter. Last year it was in October, and she saw that they had an open call for presenters, and she does a lot of educational talks. She is the metaverse architect under the name of Maker Comet, and she's somebody who I would encourage y'all to invite to come speak too. She's a much better public speaker than I am. But so she is a makerspace creator, which means she does a lot of physical art as well, and she's taught herself Blender and a bunch of other XR creation tools like Mozilla Hubs, which recently shut down their main thing. You have to go through a complicated process to get your own server running now. So she brought to me that there was this call for presenters, and we put together a cool interactive experience last year where we did a choose your own adventure with the audience, asking them to pick between this theme and that theme, and then we're going to model. I'm going to 3D model a 3D asset for the scene that you picked on the fly. Oh, it was a theme like space or spooky, and then a scene, whether it was a cafe or a gallery or a office, and then and the audience chose a spooky cafe, and then I modeled either foliage or a drinking utensil or I don't know, something else. And they wound up voting to have me 3D model a tree live. So I did that, and let me see if I have. Anyway, it was a big success, and the GeekGirlCon crowd is really my jam. They're very it's a very welcoming and inclusive space that is where diversity and inclusion and accessibility are really important. And so we decided to go back to apply to send in a proposal again this year, and it got accepted. And so we invited 3 artists that we know that are doing work in the XR space: Brenda Trinidad, Marva Ayoka Harris, and Anita Vilgas, who has also spoken for XR and LXD. And she's the one who actually introduced me to your group. And we wound up deciding together through a series of meetings. We had weekly meetings for a while to lead the audience through co-creating a virtual monument to our shared visions for an equitable and inclusive future in tech. And the blurb here is what our presentation that got accepted, and we went November 10th, we spoke, and we presented this panel, and it was an interactive panel where we had let me see, we each we did an exercise to kind of hone how we wanted to do the presentation, where Brenda asked us to come up with 3 things, 3 emotions, 3 experiences that we hoped that the audience members would come away with. And then from that, we each developed a question to pose to the audience that we hoped would elicit those responses, but we wanted to keep it open-ended. So Ray 3D printed, and Cricut used the laser cutter to print these little golden blossoms with the questions on them, and they were randomly distributed around the room. And we after we gave a presentation on what we were doing, and each of the participants talked about our work in XR, we asked them to answer these questions. And so what you're going to see when we move on to the first space is the final 3D space that incorporates the answers that the audience members had to these 5 questions that we posed. And I think the rest of my slides were just from my presentation, some other milestones of mine, and then I was going to put my contact info back on the screen. But if you are ready, I think it might be cool to go ahead and jump in the space. What do you think, Terry? Is it?
I think it would be cool because I think people are most excited to see things for real. I'm going to get in my headset because it's so beautiful, and then my voice is going to be horrible. So I'm not going to talk once we go in there, which is cool because it's not about me anyway. But I do want you guys to notice on her slide where she showed the cricket, the blossom that opened. Be sure and look up because you will be able to see those blossoms open. And I don't know how to describe it, but it's just cool. It's just cool. And I just saw the pictures and her sharing her Blender Unity, her Unity, but then they made it in Spatial. I think Anita did it, but maybe y'all did it. But and they made it in Spatial, and we can actually experience it, and it's really cool. We can't do our own words, right? But we can see the project, right?
Correct. There's a limitation in the Spatial platform where, well, and web. I think it's mostly a Spatial platform. My partner in crime here could speak more to that, but where you cannot write text to your browser user's computer, so we couldn't really take these answers in the live format in Spatial, but so yeah, so it's still interactive in that each of us will be able to walk into the space and activate each of the roots of the tree and see the animation play where the answer gets fed up through the branches of the tree into the blossom, and the blossom opens, and then the text answers start falling out. So why don't we all just move over there, because I am worse at talking than I am at showing. And here we are. Feel free to run around, and the audio is set up so you should be able to hear me anywhere in the space. Please let me know if that's not true. But I'll just talk a little bit about how the space was constructed and what you're looking at. But go ahead and click the buttons. There's 5 different buttons to be found around the base of the tree. If you get kind of stuck, it's probably the collision on the tree, and you just need to go around it a little bit better. So you're standing on the inside of a snow globe, and if you can get around, you can get on the other side of this barrier that looks like glass, and walk out in the space where you're just going to float on nothing. If you're in a VR headset, beware, because it can be kind of disorienting to be walking around on nothing. But you can get a big picture of how the snow globe looks from afar. We took the snow globe. The snow globe is actually the crystal ball that I created for the spooky cafe space that we did last year, and I repurposed it and made it giant, and I gave it a new texture. And then the coral tree-like structure, Anita Vilgash 3D modeled using the VR headset Gravity Sketch, and it's free to use. And she gave me a live demo of how to use it, and it's incredible. I'm a 3D artist, but I usually work in Blender 3D. And Anita works in Gravity Sketch and Blender and Unity, and she created the tree in Gravity Sketch and exported it to Blender, and then I was able to import it into Unity, the game engine. I highly recommend using Unity for developing in XR. It's free to use at the beginning, so unless your project makes hundreds of thousands of dollars, you'll never pay a cent. And so it's really financially accessible, which is one of the reasons why I like to promote it. And you can develop much more like functional interactive spaces for Spatial and other platforms like it, and even just publish to WebGL. And there are some really cool, if you want to work on a standalone app, Meta has created some really cool drop-in functionality, like building blocks for building VR experiences that I also recommend. But so each of you is seeing a separate instance of the particle effects. So if you haven't clicked on the view response button at the bottom of the tree, you won't see the animations play. But once you click a button, the sort of conduit, the little techie organic conduit at the base of each branch will start to animate. And when you watch where it goes at the tip of the branch, and you can come out into this outer space area and see the blossom open. And Ray Cameron, who, hey, I see you, you've joined us, thank you, created the blossoms and the whole blossom concept and all of the physical cards that we had all of our participants use. Thank you, thank you. And the floating artwork is Marva Ayoka Harris's, is that the right? I'm sorry, I need to go back through my slides and make sure I am saying her name right. Yes, Marva Ayoka Harris. These are all her physical works of art, and she granted us permission to display them in the gallery, in this floating library space around the tree and the snow globe. And she's actually working with Ray Cameron of Maker Comet, who was in the slides that I presented before, on digitizing these in a 3D format. So 3D scanning Marva's work is very physical, and it has a lot of depth and texture to it. And you can see a hint of it in this space, where you can see some of the shadow and light on the brush strokes that are very intentional. But Ray is working with her to make them even more physical, with like depth on the surface, so you can see the bump at all angles and get a much more like first person experience of her work in digital form. And then the library around here is a work that Brenda Trinidad, the first person in the slides that I showed. Ray says we're also reimagining her work as animated 3D. Oh, I did not know that. That is very cool. So Brenda Trinidad contributed a bunch of prompts. Like she authored a bunch of prompts for an environment that she listens to all of our meetings and gathered like the feel of what we were putting together, and had multiple ideas. She had some outdoor spaces, like a temple space, and other ideas. But one of the dominant themes that we all like really liked was this library kind of scene with the space above, where you can see outer space and see galaxies and nebulas. And so she used Blockade Labs Skybox tool to generate about 20 different skyboxes for us to explore and decide on. And this is the one that we loved the most. And I actually used another tool that is free to use that I recommend for, it's called Pano 2 VR, where the 2 part is the number 2. So PANO, the number 2 VR. and you can look that up. I used that to patch edit some of the skybox image, like where there was some artifacts. AI sometimes throws things into an image that you didn't necessarily want, and so I cleaned up like the doorknob and things like that. And Pano 2 VR is not an image editing tool. It just happens to have a really cool image editing feature that I used. But Pano 2 VR is a tool that allows you to create interactive 360-degree tours. You can either import your own 360-degree images, like equirectangular images, or 360-degree videos, and run tours through on the web. You can publish it to the web as a package, and then people can explore your 360 environment that way. And I learned about this by working with the Arizona State University Ask a Biologist team. They've used it to create a number of 360 tours using Pano 2 VR. But working with them, I created a bunch of 3D cellular biology models. So that's one of the reasons why my work with MedMicro Maps was like fit right in with my skill set and my knowledge set. And they introduced me to Pano 2 VR because that's the tool that they were using. And I learned that you can use it to patch your equirectangular images or video. I'm not sure about video, probably not video. Never mind. Sorry about that. So you literally can just open it up, drag in an equirectangular image, choose an area that you want to edit, and then use the external editor tool to bring it into Photoshop or another image editing tool and save it, and it comes back into your Pano 2 VR as an edited image, and it's all of the perspective is correct, which is really handy because it's hard to edit. I don't know if any of you have ever edited an equirectangular image, but the perspective is all warped, and if you do it just like a regular photo, you're going to wind up with some ugly artifacts. So I feel really strange talking to myself or talking without any other audio. I understand Terry didn't want to risk having the audio issue that VR users sometimes experience in Spatial. But if anybody has any questions or comments, you're more than welcome to chime in. I'm trying to think. And yeah, Ray explained.
People ask away.
Yes, thank you. Ray explained in the chat that Brenda works adjacent to the space industry in space education, and one of the ways that we wound up conceiving of this whole concept of making a virtual monument was inspired by her work with the world's biggest analog that she's helping to organize or is organizing. I'm not sure her exact role, but she works in the space analog field where people do missions on Earth that simulated space missions in analog on Earth, and so one of the projects that she's working on, they talked about, or her thought was creating a monument. And so this is a wide deviation or something, it's tangential to what she's working on, but it was heavy inspiration in our early conversations. Oh, thank you, Lindell. Ooh, let's see what we got time. 6:30. I'd be thrilled if we could visit some of my other spaces if anybody wants to.
I would love to.
I will look for. Okay, I will look for. me get the link. And you can reach these links at unreality3d.itch.io. But let me, I need to get, I forgot that one is not in mine because it's a space that I co-created. Kevin, are you able to put a, oh, you're not a host. Oh, I have that there, run game. I guess I'll just grab the, nope. So one of the things that I've done which is why I'm having a little difficulty locating the exact spaces that I wanted to share is I linked the spaces that I co-created with my sweetheart partner on my itch page, itch.io, which is a great platform for hosting games. Let's see, magical capsule critters. You can look this up by searching on Spatial for magical capsule critters, but I will have you the link in just a moment. Maybe I can close that. Well, if the search will let me, there we go. Copy link, come into here, create from link, create. Okay. I'm not sure how to orient everybody in this space so you can find the portal, but it's in front of the artwork with the four people, the four maybe women, and the question, imagine you're your own descendant in a distant future, and what 3 qualities you wish your ancestors had embodied. And that's all. Oh yeah, having spatial links in chat would be cool. And I mean, you can, there it is, but it won't work. Oh yeah, it's blank. Perfect. So yeah, head on over there. Head on over to the Magical Capsule Critters space, and I'll meet you there.
Did you read the comments? Do they go with you when you go to your?
Oh, that was loud. Turn my sound effects down a bit. This is probably the quietest XR and LXD group I've been in. Maybe
you guys
everybody.
can try if you're in your headset. Maybe it will work for you. I'm back on my desktop. But they're mostly clear.
My goodness. I wish I could control the volume of Spotify. Seems like it seems like the volume controls aren't working. That's fun.
On their desktop headset.
I'm on desktop.
I think most of the people left know how to do it.
Ambience? Interface? I don't know. Incoming voice. I just want, yeah, I want the splashes to be just a little bit quieter. Well, anyway.
I think we're just happy it has
Oh, that's why.
flashes.
Okay. Kevin, my adjective beaver says this space was created before Spatial implemented the audio mixer. And so we don't have the same control on the individual volume levels as we do in a newer space. Please come back with your kids. That's wonderful. That's one of the reasons we made this is just for people to have fun. And so you can come over to the capsule card and get yourself little capsules, pick them up and throw them. And there's even some fun art on the back of the card, and you can jump. They grow to all varying sizes, so it does sound like a public pool. It's awesome. And it's 6:40. I do want to leave one.
You said you made this before, like a long time ago?
Yeah, this is the first collaborative space that Adjective Beaver, my sweetheart, and I made together on Spatial. We've made other smaller games before. Oh, hi, Angela. I'm sorry that you're missing your avatar. If you complete the quest in this space, you can get a special Spatial Space Dolphin avatar out of the deal. So don't miss that. Orange, green. Who's counting? I'm reading the comments.